What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to Comic Book Nerd Nation, episode 128. I'm Fox2. We got Topher.
That's me.
And the whole effing Brian.
I am the whole effing here.
And Pirate is not with us. Actually, I was going to say again this week, but none of you guys were here last week, so scheduling conflicts and whatnot.
Technically, we were all here at the recording time. You were the one that wasn't, and then you moved it without us.
Truth.
So
had to.
Yeah,
it was an unfortunate scenario. Scheduling conflicts.
And as of our current recording time right now, the first showings of Captain America: Civil War have been out for 38 plus hours, which, and you know what that means? It means Fox hasn't seen it yet.
No, not yet. I'm actually going probably tomorrow, maybe tonight, but probably tomorrow. I'm definitely going to be seeing it this weekend, though.
I'm proud of you.
So,
I think Deadpool is the only other one you saw on opening weekend in the last 2 years.
No, Star Wars for sure, twice.
Oh, okay. Well,
weekend.
I was thinking comic book related movies.
Yeah,
that could be a comic book related movie. There's Star Wars comics. Sometimes
it's just hard schedule wise for me to go. I don't know.
I would say the comic books are Star Wars movie related, whereas the Marvel movies are comic book related.
I would agree with you there. That Star
Wars. It all depends on where it started.
First. Yeah.
It all could be Disney related.
So next week we will probably, once I've seen it, and then we have Pirate back on the podcast, we'll probably go ahead and discuss Civil War, which I've seen nothing but absolutely awesome reviews. So I'm really excited about seeing this movie.
And it's now spring and rainy, and you know what that means? That means probably the guy next door is going to start cutting his grass at some point.
I've had to mow several times. The grass is fucking ridiculous this year. It grows about a foot a week.
Yeah, but you don't mow it on the podcast. The guy next door tends to always mow it while we're recording.
Well, my neighbor has a tendency to mow about 7 times a week, so I wouldn't be surprised if we end up hearing him. I don't understand. I think he has a fetish with mowing his lawn.
Wow.
Literally mows like 3 times a week.
Maybe his wife likes it when he mows, so they role play. They role play gardener and mistress.
Yeah, she's like, "You go cut the grass, and I'll fix a fresh pitcher of lemonade and bring it out to you, and you can be like the little neighborhood boy who comes over to mow my grass, and I'll invite you in for a nice drink of lemonade and see what happens."
You want me to trim hedges, ma'am?
How did this little neighborhood boy become Asian all of a sudden?
It was a mix of Asian and Central American, because I can't really do good impressions.
Because my accents blow dick. Oh, wow. Okay, so last week we had Sean Forney on, and we talked about his Geeky Goddesses pinup art collection that he has, that he's doing on Kickstarter. If you haven't checked that out, please check that out and support him. I know he's already exceeded his goal and his first stretch goal, and he's well on his way to his second stretch goal. So tons of support. We definitely appreciate that. Let's see, what else have we got? Topher, you went to Indiana Comic-Con last week, right?
I did go to Indiana Comic-Con last week. I even have the poster printed.
Oh, nice. How was it?
It was good. It was fun. It was a little bigger than some of the ones around here that we've gone to in the past. The Cincinnati Comic Expo is pretty good. There's Gem City Comic Con, which is pretty decent, but this one was fairly large. There were all the regular booths and whatnot with people selling a lot of comics. I did buy a bunch of random shit. I found some more old X-Men stuff. Obviously, we can't have a podcast that I don't mention the X-Men. I mean, it's kind of my thing. A lot of good comic booths selling a lot of really good stuff. Then there was also you have your typical merchandise booths with all kinds of like nerdy craft stuff. Yeah, like there wasn't a whole lot of stuff that I hadn't seen before, but I go to a lot of these, so I mean, like, it's still an awesome experience. There was one really neat booth that I hadn't seen before. There was a woman who was doing some arts and crafts stuff with like nerdy things, and she was making like custom bracelets with like phrases from different like from like Harry Potter and Firefly and all kinds of different franchises. Like a little bracelet that says "May the Force be with you," or "I'm a leaf on the wind," or all kinds of little references to things. And it was very arts and craftsy, and it was like you could tell that it was nice and handmade, and it was so I mean, that was one of the cooler merchandise booths. But for me, the neat thing about this one, in addition to having the the artists and the writers and whatnot that you typically have at Comic-Con selling artwork that was all really good, but they also had some panels with some celebrity guests, and this was really cool for me because I went to a couple. I went to a Q&A with Chris Claremont, who was the X-Men writer from like 1975 till 1991. How many
times did you go online? Tell us.
What's that?
How many times did you go online to ask him a question?
No. This was like live. Like went to a room, and I was sitting a couple rows back, and he sat up there and took audience questions, and basically it was basically Chris Claremont storytellers story time for an hour, and he would just talk about all kinds of stuff, and it was really neat. Some people asking him about his favorite characters to write, and some plot lines that he would have liked to have seen come to fruition, and asking him his thoughts on some of the newer franchises and movies. And it was really fun for me, especially as an X-Men fan, because this is the dude who pretty much the entire 90s X-Men cartoon, like everything that happened in that, which is what got me into comics, like every major storyline in there, like the status quo for that entire show was pretty much like a summary of Chris Claremont's run on X-Men.
I see this happening as like all these people asking these like really thoughtful questions about Chris Claremont's work and everything, and then Topher gets called on and he just straight up asks him out to dinner or something. Like, you go on a date with me?
Yeah, it was tempting. No, it was neat though. He was he was a really nice guy. He was really cool. I enjoyed that a lot. But the other panel I went to was they had Ian McDiarmid and Brent Spiner there.
Oh,
yeah, so Emperor Palpatine and Data.
Wait! Before you go on, I want Doug to repeat what he just said. He's like, "Ooh, Data."
Ooh, Data. Yes.
I mean, I feel like that would make a good
character on Star
clip.
Trek. Sorry.
I feel like that would make a good sound clip for like a
Data.
For like somebody who works with databases or some kind of data entry job. Just have that be their sound effect. Ooh, Data. Yeah, so Ian McDiarmid, the actor who played the Emperor in Star Wars, was there, as well as Brent Spiner, who played Data and also plays the scientist dude in Independence Day, because that's about to be relevant again. And
wait, he was the long-haired crazy scientist?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's Brent Spiner.
In what?
I didn't even
in
know
what
that.
movie?
Independence Day.
Yeah. The super crazy looking dude.
Like the crazy looking dude with the long white hair
from Area 51.
Yeah, that's Brent Spiner. And Ray Park was also there, the guy who played Darth Maul, and he was also Toad in the older X-Men movies, and he's been in a ton of shit. Like, dude's an awesome like martial artist and actor. I guess Darth Maul and Darth Sidious had a panel on Saturday, but I missed that one. I didn't get to go up there till Sunday. But on Sunday they had this big panel with Ian McDiarmid and Brent Spiner, and it was cool because like seeing two actors from two very different characters from the two different Star franchises up on stage like answering questions together was kind of cool. They were both really cool dudes. They were just like bouncing jokes back and forth off of each other, and at one point I think my favorite part of that was watching Brent Spiner and Ian McDiarmid do their Patrick Stewart impressions back and forth.
I think you can really tell in those situations, even in those situations, when somebody is really kind of down to earth and not, you always sometimes hear people say, never meet your idols, never meet your heroes, things like that, because on occasion you will meet those people that have a huge chip on their shoulder or just entirely too conceited, but I haven't really came across it too much in the comic book world. I don't know if that's maybe more like, TV, movie type stuff or athletics. For sure happens in athletics a lot. I think
that's more of yeah. They're a bunch of bitches that just want their money.
Yeah, you'll have that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on, whether the actor and actress is a fan. Sometimes people play roles that like
they just don't
it was a paycheck to them and they really don't care about it. But I got the impression that these Brent Spiner especially at one point was talking about how somebody asked him who his influences as an actor were growing up, and he said a lot of it like Charlie Chaplin and some of the older like Laurel and Hardy, like the comedy actors who just really looked like they had fun doing their jobs. And he said that one of the things he really liked though was seeing some well-respected actors who would then turn to into sci-fi, and he pointed out a lot of the older great actors seem to always end up in horror movies, like the old Dracula and whatnot. Like these old horror movies, aren't necessarily like the pinnacle of artistic storytelling necessarily, like classic storytelling anyway.
I think it's a big challenge for those actors too, especially in the old horror movies. Like I think the actors had to portray a much wider range of emotions because you couldn't rely on special effects and things like that back then, and there's going to be a lot more range of emotion in a horror movie than just your, a comedy film, for sure.
Yeah, but instead of a more traditional theater-like role, like a lot of sci-fi and horror, at least starting out, doesn't necessarily have the classical cred that like a lot more traditional roles do. And so I liked how he said that for him it was really cool seeing actors who were big names and like to do stuff, enjoyed their craft and then actually wanted to take it to realms like horror and sci-fi and do those kind of things, and lend some legitimacy to them. So I really got the impression that he was one of those people like who just really loved the source material of the stuff that he got to work in. And Ian McDiarmid was cool. At one point he said somebody asked him if he was going to ever appear in one of the new Star Wars films, and he goes, well, he's like, you'll probably know before I do. He's like, the way the internet works these days. He's like, but he's like, they didn't approach me about Rogue One or anything like that. He's like, so I'm not in that. He said, but he said, I can tell you one thing. He said, I don't want anybody else to play my character.
Nice.
And just the way he very sheepishly said it, like you could tell he was really proud of that role, and and so it, there's something to that when you can tell that they really enjoy the role and they like the movie that they're in, and so they can appreciate the fandom because they're a fan of it themselves.
Well, just the fact that, like you said, he didn't refer to it as I don't want someone else to play Emperor Palpatine. He said, I don't want someone else to play my role or my character. They take ownership of it, and I think that is when you really get somebody that is going to do the role justice and become a fan favorite. Speaking of Star Wars,
you want to see the comics I got?
Yeah, sure.
My
My
new
Little Pony #1.
Actually, while you're showing those, I got some comics I want to show off too that I just picked up.
Oldest issue of X-Men is now X-Men #8.
Oh shit!
Yeah. It's an okay copy. It's not perfect, but the cover looks decent enough. Which is kind of the biggest selling point. The color on it's still really good. Like it's still fairly white for a comic from 1965.
X-Men #8.
Somewhere around there. X-Men #8.
Wow, that's crazy.
I got an X-Men #24 as well. Like the color on this one is just incredible.
Yeah, that red is really nice.
Like ridiculous shape. I finally picked up not the best copy, but the price was right, so I got it anyway. X-Men 141, Days of Future Past.
Nice.
What did you just say? The price is right.
Yeah, the price was right.
The price is
Bob
wrong,
Barker
bitch.
was there and everything.
Price is wrong, bitch.
Wolverine #1 from his solo series.
Yo, how do you think he gets his hair that way?
Right?
Product?
I don't know. But I mean, this one is a super clean copy.
You ever see Something About Mary?
Yeah. Oh.
So you think?
But yeah, this one's a super clean copy. This is like ridiculously mint condition.
Nice.
And then I don't know if this was, you might know better than I would. Spider-Man #1 from.
That's funny. I just ordered off eBay that same comic.
I don't know if this is Todd McFarlane's first Spider-Man cover.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just ordered that cover, the gold cover, and the black cover.
The black cover. I saw a couple of the black cover ones too, but they were a little bit more. I got Nova #1. I think this is the first appearance of Nova. And then here's one from Fox's list that I know he was looking for a while.
Oh yeah.
Hulk
that looks like a pretty good copy too.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Doug might pull a Tom Cruise and try to like hang from your ceiling and steal it.
No, I got that. I got that one actually out in California. I found it a steal. I got that one in really, really good shape for $15.
I paid $10 for this one.
Nice. Okay, good.
The spine.
Oh shit.
The spine's a little. The spine's got a little bit of damage here and there, and the pages are kind of yellowed. But the cover looks really nice. So I'm okay with that. And then the last one I got. This is one I paid a little bit more for, but I've been looking for this one forever. Batman #222. It actually it's Neil Adams, and it has the Beatles on the cover, and I'm a huge Beatles fan, so I've been trying to find this for a long time, and hard to come by at a decent price. So I was pretty happy about that pickup. The only other one that I really wanted while I was there, I've been looking for a Fantastic Four #28. So again, like mid '60s.
What is that? First Galactus? No.
No, it's it was the first appearance of the X-Men in Fantastic Four. Not the first appearance of the X-Men, but the X-Men are on the cover, so it was a crossover between the. It was the first time the X-Men showed up in Fantastic Four, and so I've been looking to find that issue. I found one booth that had it, and it was an amazing copy, and I'm like, oh my god, there's no way I can afford this. How much is it? And he wanted $350 for it, and I'm like, no, I can't do it. Sorry.
It's tough. I actually picked up. I wasn't at a convention, but I've been working mainly on collecting the Tales to Astonish series, and it's hard to find some of the older stuff at decent prices with even remotely intact covers. But I got Tales to Astonish #14. It's in.
Nice.
I mean, it's pretty. It's fairly beat up, but super old. #25, Tales to Astonish. Picked up. Let's see. This one's #94, and you can see the colors are getting much better as we get into the newer ones here.
Yeah.
This is a really nice copy of #61. With real good coloring on it.
Oh yeah, nice and white still.
I'll probably send that one and this next one off to get CGC'd. #65, Giant Man on the cover, It has
What just is he wearing?
The colors are amazing for the age of the book, and then I also got number 93 there with Silver Surfer on the cover. So
that's a cool cover. I like that one.
Yeah, I really like it too. It has you can kind of see up here in the corner somebody drew a red X through the stamp, and that kind of sucks, but the cover still looks pretty good, and I'm just trying to get. I'm probably about halfway through collecting all of the Tales to Astonish at this point, which is I'm fairly impressed with because they're not that easy to find for one, and
did you get number 90?
Number 90. Which one is that? That's number 90.
First 90. Appearance of Abomination.
No, I don't have 90 yet. I'm pretty sure I do not have 90. Yeah, I've got a pretty good number of them. There's a couple that I can't remember what number it is, but First Appearance of Groot is actually in Tales to Astonish.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a tough one to get for a decent price, especially with the popularity of Guardians of the Galaxy. But it'll happen at some point.
Number 70, not First Appearance, but was that one of the ones you just said? 70?
I don't think
I
did not get 70 yet. No.
Okay. It's Namor's first appearance in a long time. That was the issue that
was the 90 one that you said?
90.
I do have 90. I lied.
You do have 90.
I do have 90.
Well, there you go.
So just kidding.
First appearance of Abomination.
Yeah. So what did you guys do for May 4th? Anything? I honestly, this is the first year in a while I didn't do anything Star Wars related, and I'm kind of wondering if it's because we've had so much Star Wars over the last 6 months. You know.
Also because wasn't it on a Saturday last year?
Last year it was on a.
I can't
Sunday.
remember.
I want to say Sunday, but no. Well, if it was on a Wednesday this year, right?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have been on a weekend just last year. That would have been a few years because it only moves by a day or two each year. But yeah, being on a Wednesday this week for Star Wars Day. Let's see here. I went to work and then I went to trivia night like I normally do on Wednesdays, and then I went home and there was a Star Wars category. They did ask a few Star Wars questions.
May 4th last year was on a Monday. Just FYI.
Yeah, the year before that, I think it was on a Sunday though. Yeah. So I watched the shit out of movies that year, but no, this year, there were some Star Wars trivia questions at the bar that night, and then I went home and I think I played Witcher on PlayStation instead of watching Star Wars movies. I don't know why. At that point, I just wasn't even thinking about it. Yeah, you might have a point there. I don't know that I'm necessarily Star Warsed out, but I do so much.
You're not craving.
I don't need a special day for Star Wars because every day is Star Wars Day for me.
Yeah, here lately it's been just everywhere. But okay, so let's talk about some news. I think this first thing is.
I just heard one of Pirates jingles in my head.
Oh, nice. This first one is hilarious in my opinion. The Ghostbusters director, the Ghostbusters remake director, Paul Feig or Feig.
Feig.
Went on record to say geek culture is home to some of the biggest assholes I've ever met in my life.
Because I think the trailer was rated worst. It got the worst response in I don't know.
It's awful. Just because of this. I mean, we've all talked about how it's it's a little bit of an abomination to redo this movie. But I pulled it up on YouTube just for shits and giggles, just to kind of look at the comments. And first of all, there's the trailer has 31 million views, which is crazy. It has 232,000 likes and 745,000 dislikes. So over 3-to-1 dislike to like ratio. And some of these comments are hilarious. Not to mention the fact that it's pretty well notated at this point that Sony is going through and trying to keep up with deleting the very negative comments off the video.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, your movie. People don't want to see your movie. Get over it.
I mean, I don't.
Here's a really good comment. I thought maybe I could just read you guys a couple of the funnier comments. It says, "To the people who say I'm still going to give the new movie a chance, that's like finding a brown turd-shaped object on the sidewalk. It looks like a turd, it smells like a turd, but you say, I can't know it's actually a turd and not a Tootsie Roll until I take a bite out of it."
Ew. Ew.
I don't get all the hate. Like, I know that some people aren't necessarily excited about it, but I don't know that the movie is necessarily for them. I mean, Ghostbusters is a great franchise. It was a great movie, back then, and there's an entire new generation of potential fans that, this could be their Ghostbusters movie, 20 years from now.
Yeah, but I think everybody's seen that movie like enough that it just goes beyond generations. And see, this is what I always thought remaking movies would lead to. It's just nobody wants to see these movies that they weren't shitty movies by at all.
No, Ghostbusters was great.
And remaking it because they're out of original ideas and they want to try to get, the money that the original one made.
Here's another
by updating it to the modern times, and it just doesn't. I would have been okay with the movie if it was hey, we're handing down the title of Ghostbusters to this new generation. It's not. It's oh, hey, that movie didn't exist in the world, so Peter
do over.
Ray didn't exist.
Why didn't the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie get the hate that this
sure
is getting?
It for sure.
Because that's yeah, it did from our generation, but again, in cartoons they keep on changing the Ninja Turtles for the next generation and next generation. So all the younger people are oh, we don't know that Ninja Turtles back in the 90s and 80s. We only know the ones they put on Nickelodeon now.
Here's another comment that I thought was pretty funny. There are two kinds of people in this world. People who like the original, so they don't like this. And people who don't like the original, so they don't like this.
That's true, too.
This movie is getting so much... just an unprecedented amount of hatred. It makes me wonder if it almost benefit from the hate. People will go and see it just so they can jump online and bash specific, references in the movie and things. I don't know. I'm definitely not going to go see it in the theater. Are either of you guys?
No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna wait till it comes on Kodi or TV.
I don't know. I haven't decided. I don't see. Pretty much the big comic book movies are the only movies that I see in the theater these days.
Yeah, it's sad to see.
So I'm not necessarily. If I don't see it, it's not because I'm not seeing this movie specifically. It's because there aren't a whole lot of movies I go to.
Are you excited about this movie, Topher? You sound almost cautiously optimistic.
I am. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think the things I've seen of it actually look kind of decent and it's going to be a fun movie. I thoroughly expect it to be an enjoyable movie. I just think that, people feel like they're getting their childhoods shit on and so there's a giant backlash. But, there are remakes of a lot of things that aren't is terrible. And I know if I even say this next thing that you're going to jump down my throat.
Maybe.
But
let's get ready.
I know it's my personal feeling that a lot of this backlash is because they tried to do it with an all-female cast. And anytime Hollywood does anything that they try and, put women as the main characters, there's an instant negative reaction from the internet.
I don't know that I would agree with that statement entirely.
I mean, they did kind of it did kind of seem like they catered to women, putting an all-women cast and then putting, what's his name, as
Hemsworth,
in the Janine position. Yeah. But that doesn't bother me. There's a lot of funny women nowadays. I just don't like a lot of.
It doesn't bother a lot of people, and it shouldn't. But there are a lot of people that are bothered by it, and they're the internet trolls that sit there and make all kinds of stupid comments all over YouTube videos.
I think my only problem with them doing females instead of males is why does this need to be a at that point, if that's the direction that you want to go, why does this need to be a Ghostbusters remake? Why can't this be next gen Ghostbusters? Why can't this be 30 years later Ghostbusters? The old dudes, the old dudes are retired. Maybe they do a cameo because they're retired or some bullshit, and this is the group of Ghostbusters now. Why can't that be the story? I know I've beat this drum to death in the past, but that would be a way of including a diversification of cast driven by the story, not just, hey, we're going to do this because we're going to do this. And that's, to me, the only problem. But that's not even, all that aside, that's not even my biggest issue with it. First of all, I'll start off by saying, I think that the special effects look fucking incredible in this movie.
Yeah. For
sure they look awesome. But everything I saw in the trailer just felt stupid and cheesy. It just, the jokes, the one-liners, it just felt awkward and disjointed. It just didn't, I don't know. The chemistry that the original group of Ghostbusters had didn't feel like it was there with that group, at least in the trailer. Now, I know that that's a short piece of footage to be able to judge it on, so maybe it is better in the movie. But to me, it just didn't feel entertaining. It didn't feel engaging at all. I don't know.
One thing I found interesting from the trailer was that they try to do the all-female team, and so it looks like they're trying to be a little more, I don't know,
they're careful trying, how you choose your words here.
They're going for the somewhat of the diversity aspect and trying to say, well, we had an all-male cast the first time, why can't we have an all-female cast? So it seems like they're trying to make strides there, and then at the same time, there's still 3 white women and 1 black woman, and the white ones are the nerdy scientific ones, and the black one is the street smart one. It's like, okay, so
yeah,
you tried to do
time, that's kind of how the characters were,
and then you almost did.
That's kind of how the characters were in the first one, though, too. If you think about it, that's an exact replica, just gender swapped, of the first one, because you had the 3 white scientists, and then you had the black Ghostbuster that was just answering a help ad. So you had that same dynamic in the first one for sure. So I don't think that was something that was necessarily thought out, but I think it was just literally hey, let's do this let's just change the sex of every main character, and then fucking slap a new Ghostbusters logo on it and call it a fucking movie. I think, to me, that's what kind of drives me crazy about this a little bit too, is that it feels like a fucking lack of effort. It honestly feels like there wasn't really Like it was, 10 assholes that really don't give a shit about Ghostbusters sitting in a fucking boardroom somewhere and just made this decision in like 5 minutes.
See, but that's my problem with all these negative reviews is if it were for men, would you be levying that same complaint? Like you're saying that the only thing that they did was gender swap the cast and like everything else seems kind of lazy. But how do you know that without seeing the movie? Like how do you know the script isn't really good and
maybe it is. Maybe it is. I'll give you that.
And the cast isn't really good at their roles. I mean, like the fact that it's getting dismissed out of hand because, oh well, they used women, so that must have been the only thing they did. Like it's getting dismissed out of hand because like all they're doing is just trying to make it a woman movie, and
I would have been dismissive about it regardless, even if it was men, just from the simple fact that it's a remake. I don't see any reason why they need to. The movie was a fucking hit. I mean, it's a cult classic movie. That's You just don't need to remake that. That'd be like going back and remaking Gone with the Wind or something. Like you just don't do it. You don't.
In general, I agree with you. Like remakes of, it's one thing, and I brought up the Ninja Turtles.
Remaking a shitty movie, okay, fine, but
I just now noticed that you're even wearing a Ninja Turtles shirt, and I brought them up.
Yeah.
Maybe that was subconsciously why I thought of them. But no, it's funny because I mentioned the Ninja Turtles movie, but
the
Ninja
Topher,
Turtles are.
My eyes are up here, buddy. My eyes are up here. All right.
The Ninja Turtles are a franchise. Like there's been multiple movies, there's TV shows, there's comics, there's one of the other comics I grabbed while I was at Comic-Con was the issue number 2 of the Batman Ninja Turtles crossover that I missed while it was in the brick and mortar stores. So I mean, like, it's one thing to do another movie for something that's a franchise and has been around in one shape or form or another for the last 20 years. Like bringing up like Ghostbusters, how much Ghostbuster stuff has there really been between then and now? I mean, there was that cartoon in the 90s that was actually pretty good.
There was actually like 2-3 Ghostbusters films, and then
have there been any? Has there been a new Ghostbusters TV show? Is there like a newer cartoon lately?
I don't know if they said there's one coming out.
Because like I can understand refreshing the franchise, with a movie for something that's still around, in some form. But yeah, like what are some other classic? Like if they remade Titanic or something, I mean that one's not quite as old.
There was a Ghostbusters video game in 2009.
Okay.
Which was actually really good. I remember playing that.
I heard it was actually. Yeah, shit. Titanic's 20 years old now. Are they going to do a Titanic remake?
And see,
right?
that's a good example, though. That's a good example. Not necessarily my favorite movie, but definitely a cult classic film, an amazing film. What? There's no reason to remake Titanic. Like, what benefit could possibly come from that? You know what I mean? Like, it was one of the biggest films ever, for sure, but it was a good film. There's really not much benefit in taking a great film and redoing it. That's why I think that there's not a lot of sense in redoing Ghostbusters, other than the fact that you just want to fucking beef up the special effects, which arguably is cool. I think the better route would have been to, like Brian said, do kind of a continuation, a next generation, the new Ghostbusters or something like that.
Have it be an in-universe sequel, like a sequel, a true
long-term sequel. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And it doesn't even necessarily have to relate. It just needs to quickly reference that they started it all or some shit.
That would feel better.
Exactly.
That would feel better than just redoing it because, it's been a while, let's do this one again.
And that's, I think, the problem that most people have with it, and I think that they would have gotten a much more positive response from a lot of people, myself included, if that's the approach that they would have taken. Just like, I mean, can you imagine if they were to just redo Top Gun? Just one of the biggest films of the 80s. Just do over. Like, no, you don't do that. do you want to do a new Top Gun, like a Top Gun sequel down the road, whatever? Okay, that could be doable, but you don't just take something and redo it and shit all over it. You just don't do it. But clearly these assholes don't know what they're talking about, so...
I still think it'll be a decent movie. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll go over well, and I think it'll bring a new generation of fans to Ghostbusters.
I want to see it once it comes out on like Redbox or something, so that we can talk about it. I think it's worth all of us taking the 2 hours or whatever to watch it in our homes and discuss it. I think there's some value there, just for the simple sake of kind of capping off this exact discussion and seeing.
Or we could do another Comic Book Nerd Nation watches.
No, that's never happening again. That was 2 of our worst episodes ever created. Those things were fucking boring. I'm sorry. It was fun to do it, but listening to it had to be just painstakingly brutal. In other news, Star Wars, I know we've talked about Star Wars a good bit today, but they cast the young Han Solo. It is Alden, I'm going to butcher the fuck out of this name, Alden Ehrenreich. He's finalizing a deal with Lucasfilms to play the young Han Solo in upcoming Star Wars films. Now, it has not been determined whether he will be in Rogue One or if he will just be in the young Han Solo film when it comes out. I like the fact... I need to check real quick and see...
I hadn't actually seen this.
Alden Ehrenreich.
He is
in Beautiful Creatures.
I thought you just called him a beautiful
That's
creature.
what I thought.
No, he's in Beautiful Creatures.
He's a beautiful creature?
He's really not in a lot of super well-known stuff. So I kind of like that for Star Wars. What's her name? Daisy Ridley?
Yes.
I think that part of what makes her engaging as a character and you able to identify with her better is that because you don't know her from other things, she doesn't pull you out of that character. And I like that about
John
this.
Boyega, he did like one movie that I kind of saw, but not really paid attention to.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only one out of the 3 cast members of the new Star Wars trilogy was Poe Dameron, that's been in a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But I like that they're going that route and establishing the character kind of from scratch with a newer actor and actresses in this case. I think it's a good move. I think it's a really strong move by them. Obviously, they know what the fuck they're doing. Just great films.
Recasting Han Solo, though, I
mean, you had to do it.
Young Han Solo.
You had to do it.
But
I mean, for starters, spoiler alert: Han Solo's dead because fucking Harrison Ford doesn't want to do any more Star Wars films. Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess Ewan McGregor was technically recast as Obi-Wan, and
he was pretty good.
I mean,
I liked Ewan McGregor.
Oh, he was great.
Obi-Wan.
He was phenomenal
Yeah,
in that. So yeah, I don't know why. I guess I'm having a problem with this one, but
it's hard.
There's just a big. I mean, there's a big difference between young Alec Guinness and old Alec Guinness. But like Han Solo wasn't all that old when he was in the first one.
Yeah,
you know. Like,
so the age is going to have to be pretty similar to the first one from like, episode 4 to whatever this guy is playing.
I can see Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan growing up into Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan, in the 20, 30 years that span that gap. It's a little harder to picture the, 5-year gap betwin Alden Ehrenreich and fucking... Oh my God. Harrison Ford, thank you.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, it's going to be tough to see, but I'm interested in it because I think that character Han Solo is a phenomenal character with a lot of depth of character, and I think that they're going to be able to tell some really cool stories involving a younger Han Solo. So I think it's a good move. I think it's going to be a tough pill to swallow for a minute, but if the guy hits the nail on the head, holy shit, hold on to your fucking seatbelts. It's going to be crazy
Then
ride.
you can make it out.
Oh, and there is the neighbor mowing the lawn, Topher. Super loud.
Well, he was whacking his weeds a minute ago. What you're hearing now is an airplane, actually.
Oh, fair enough. We got some news about the Supergirl TV show. We reported a couple weeks ago that that CBS was renewing this for a second series, and we were all happy to hear that, even though we don't necessarily watch the show frequently. Well, there's some kind of disturbing news if you're a Supergirl fan.
That's not true. I watch Supergirl, and it's a great show.
All right, fair enough. They're moving the filming to Canada to cut the costs amid rumors that CBS is actually having second thoughts about the second season. They were at reportedly about $3 million per episode of filming costs while they were filming in Los Angeles, and they're cutting that. I don't know by how much, but viewership must not be that great if they're relocating to Canada to cut costs right after they've ordered a second season. So Supergirl fans, get the word out there and support that show. Otherwise, we may not see a second season. I don't know.
This is why you don't put shows you like on network TV, because network TV wants to fucking cancel everything all the goddamn time.
Just like at Fox.
Yeah, I don't understand why people want to make, like, network TV is no longer the home for quality TV programming. It's now short-lived fads of vacuous nonsense that they can get to be popular for a season to sell fucking commercials. It's fucking terrible. Like, I don't watch network TV anymore because every show on there is the same rehashed piece of shit, and all the good stuff gets canceled because they don't want long-term viewership.
Preach.
They don't want people to stick with it. They want everybody to jump on the bandwagon for the new shit, and they constantly get rid of good stuff so that they can put up some new flashy bedazzled piece of shit.
I think bedazzling stuff. I really think that network television and cable television, for that matter, are both a dying breed. They're taking their last gasps of air on their way out. Technology is breeding them out for sure. Netflix, Hulu, anything streaming, even YouTube at this point, are the wave of the future. Content is definitely going more on demand with fewer commercials, and it's at the user's fingertips when they want it. It's ridiculous now that I should have to sit down and at this time to this time on a certain day to be able to enjoy a television show with the technology that we have at our disposal. So I don't think you're going to see network TV and cable TV done a whole lot much longer, at least the way that it is currently being done. Which sounds like Topher will be excited about.
He's so excited, he just can't hide it.
I mean, there's a lot of TV shows that I like, but it just seems to me that, like, I'm not even hating on cable TV, but, like, at least with cable channels, it seems like they want to curate their shows.
Yeah.
They want to care for them. They want a long-term running series that they can develop a fan base for and have some loyalty in their viewership. Like these longer running series like Walking Dead on AMC, Sons of Anarchy on FX, like these channels, these cable channels that want to foster, like a good work of art that spans, the creator's vision for it over however many seasons that is, and stick with that. But network, it's all about like some
Quick
stupid
buck,
executive
making a
sitting
quick buck.
somewhere like oh, what's going to sell more commercials? And it's like, oh yeah, like we're not getting new fans of this show. It's only the current existing viewer base. So fuck it, we're axing it so that we can put up something else so that people will tune in for the premiere of the new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and it's stupid, and I can't imagine why any creator who's actually serious about their work and cares about the content they're making would want to air it on a network.
Yeah. The next bit of news.
That's what really grinds Topher's gears.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
The next bit of news, I know Brian's going to be super pumped about. Walgreens is set to release Wonder Woman makeup kits.
Oh, I can't wait.
So you can dress yourself up and look like a superhero.
And the night on the town will be so much better.
I don't necessarily agree with this. It's kind of weird. I think you're sending some seriously mixed signals with this to the youth of the country or the world, potentially. I don't know if Walgreens is international or not, but you have Wonder Woman, who is like the epitome of like female badassery, and you're gonna go and associate that with makeup and being dolled up and this is how you should look if you're a girl kind of message. I don't necessarily 100% agree with this, and I think I'm going to be on the same side as Topher actually on this one. I have a feeling that he might kind of feel the same way.
You know, that's funny because I'm sitting here like, wow, I'm surprised he has a reaction to this because I didn't actually think it was that bad.
I kind of don't agree with it. I mean, mildly, Star Wars, I guess.
I appreciate the position you're coming from. I do. Star Wars actually released a line of makeup.
Yeah, I saw some ads about that, but I feel like that's just a different scenario. Just because of Wonder Woman. It's Wonder Woman.
Yeah, like, I see your point. I see your point. I'm a little torn, to be honest, because you know, I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, you know, like I don't think they're necessarily saying you have to get dolled up, but a lot of, you know, women do use makeup. A lot of women like makeup.
Yeah, but this
my girlfriend was a huge fan of the.
If you look at the packaging, on this, it's
okay. I haven't seen the packaging.
Clearly targeting. Here, I'll send you a link real quick. It's pretty. It's almost a throwback to, like the 90s, 80s, 90s, like.
Oh yeah, that's very.
Kind of, it's definitely targeting young girls.
Yeah, that looks like it's marketed toward. Okay, see, I like the idea of having, you know, comic book related products that are targeted specifically to females because it's acknowledging that they have an interest in this genre as well,
which and is what Star Wars kind of looked like.
You have a place in this world too. That comics are for you as well, and I love that message. But you're right. Looking at those, it does kind of look like
this looks like something that's saying, kids. Yeah, if you want to grow up to be Wonder Woman, you need to wear this makeup.
And it's saying, yeah, that hey, you're a girl, so you get makeup.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Kind of
I'm gonna agree with you on that one.
It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird the way that, and I don't know shit about makeup, so maybe this is targeted at adult women, but I don't see the packaging that way.
If it were marketed in more adult packaging, and it was like, hey, we know women like comic books too. Here's something you'll enjoy.
I just think that
but yeah,
I just think everything that I've read about Gal Gadot. Obviously, I haven't seen the Batman v Superman movie, but everything that I've read about it, which is a lot, Gal Gadot did a really good job portraying Wonder Woman, and it's giving this generation of girls a strong female character to identify with and to kind of be their hero. What I don't think we need is to
I was just gonna do that.
not
I
to
can take away your
like
pain.
not to become a social justice warrior on anyone, but I don't think that you need to mix that signal with this. I think that you have something good going. Do some T-shirts, do some, things like that, supporting that character in the movie the way that it was, but certainly don't water it down by pandering it and making it like a prissy thing. I don't know.
Sometime I need to ask you why right wingers use social justice warrior as an insult. What's wrong with justice?
Because
I like justice.
and
Batman.
I'm all right to dive into this right now for a quick second, have a real conversation. I think that it's because it's not the idea that social equality or anything like that is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but the real social, when we say social justice warriors, okay, it's the people that are so far off the deep end to the left that they're almost becoming right wing. That's like a fucking snake eating its own tail.
Let's make a right.
There was actually something in the news recently at I forget the Dartmouth, I think. No, I can't remember the name of the university, where there was a liberal activist group that was protesting and raising awareness this month because it's sexual assault awareness month, and they had been protesting, doing different like activist type activities and things, and the fraternities on campus saw this and decided to get together as a group, and they made flags out of sheets and hung on all the houses, not just like one house, but all the fraternity houses, hung things along the lines of just recognizing a problem isn't a solution, or supporting the cause, essentially. And in response to that, the quote-unquote social justice warriors went to the school newspaper and complained about them like supporting the cause. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. You've been protesting to try and get people to support your cause. This group that you're really targeting is now supporting your cause and trying to raise awareness, and now you're complaining that they're supporting your cause because they're not the people that you want to support your cause. Like, what, like, I don't, that doesn't even make any fucking, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if your point is to raise awareness, what better way than to get other student organizations to raise awareness with you? Like, you're a fucking snake eating its own tail. Like, you don't make any goddamn sense. Like, that's where I draw issue with it. I don't have any problem whatsoever with the awareness of sexual assault. I think it's a terrible thing. I think people should be aware of it and prevent it, but...
So right-wing people are just bad at naming things. Because you don't have a problem with people who fight for social justice. You have a problem with idiots.
I have no problem with a social justice advocate.
You know what I always say?
But a social justice warrior is someone that's literally just looking for a fight. They're looking for something to complain about. They're not looking to make anything better. They're looking for some kind of anything to complain about. That's what they are. Social justice advocates are great. They help improve the world. They help provide new opportunities for people. They do all kinds of great things, and they push us further as a race. Social justice warriors are just people that want to fucking bitch about stuff, and they just need to get off their high horse and do something with their life. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know. So
Thank you for the explanation.
Sorry to get deep on you for a hot second.
I was
What is social
kind of
justice
curious.
warrior?
The last bit of news, which has nothing to do with politics and or social awareness, Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is now going to be helping both the writer of the Justice League films as well as Zack Snyder in directing both of the Justice League films.
He has now been promoted to an executive producer for
Yes.
the Justice League franchise.
clearly somebody was very impressed with his Batman delivery, and they're looking to capitalize on the fact that he really not just apparently hit the nail on the head with the character, but really gained the support of the community. And what's really crazy about this is, do you remember how hard people like the whole effing Brian beat the shit out of Batfleck when it was first announced? I mean, beat the shit out of it. Brian is the prime example because he was fucking leading the charge, pitchfork and torch in hand.
Can I be the Optimus prime example?
Sure. And now you did a total 180 and said that he was probably the best Batman that you've seen on screen.
That was the only good thing about that goddamn movie. But yeah, I think he's pretty good.
So I think the executives are trying to capitalize on the fact that he's, to some degree, figured out what the fans want.
It has nothing. I mean, this has nothing to do with his performance. I mean,
I think it for sure does.
He's not. For him to be able to write something well and produce something well has nothing to do.
Well,
with
no,
him
he's
playing
not writing.
Batman.
He's
I
not.
mean, I'm
writing.
not taking away from what you just said, but I don't think it's from that.
I don't think he's. He's not
you
actually
got
going to be
people dropping
writing
out from
though.
their movies. What?
He's not actually writing. He's just there to help consult. So
Oversee
like, yeah, well, like when if the writer is putting something down that he doesn't feel the fans are going to relate to, he can give some advice and say, I don't think that's the direction that the fans are going to really see it go.
I can see it going. Oh, fuck.
Jesus Christ!
I can see it being because
What the
of
hell are you
like
doing over there?
Bobbing
know.
for Cox.
yawning and coughing. It's like something's coming out of my mouth.
Wow.
But they could have been impressed with him, what he did with Jeff Johns and writing what he's written so far of his Batman solo flick. I mean, they gave him producer of that too. I mean,
No,
he is a good producer.
No, they gave him director of that. He's not producer.
I thought
of the,
he was producing that too.
No. Of the solo film, he's actually directing it
Directing it.
and starring in it, obviously.
It also look at a lot of his. What was that movie that he produced and directed?
Argo.
Argo. I mean, that
Isn't it a bit of conflict of interest to direct a movie you're starring in?
Yeah, no, a lot of people do it.
Clint Eastwood is pretty famous for doing it.
Well, Clint Eastwood.
I thought you were
I
getting
wouldn't
ready.
wanna
I thought
say
you were. I thought you were getting ready to say something negative about him.
Old and saggy.
Oh my god.
No, he's Clint Eastwood. Would you want to say no to Clint Eastwood?
No.
Exactly.
Not even a little bit. So
Put a cigar in his mouth and take a 6-shooter out of his pants. That's not a penis joke, by the way.
wow, that's a fantastic note to end on. I'm Fox 2.
Okay.
We got Topher.
Yeah. How can you not want to come back next week now?
Yeah, and the penis joke king himself, the whole effing Brian.
I'm glad I went from poop joke king to penis joke king. It's a big accomplishment for me.
Better than going penis to poop.
You never go penis to poop.